Oh my gosh, chat. What are we going to do today, loves? We are going to start streaming now. Let's go, chat. Chattars. Let's begin. Welcome to another stream, chat. How y'all doing today? The thumping of things and the bumping of things. So welcome to another stream. My name is Alok Kanocha. I'm a psychiatrist and practicing in Boston. But just a reminder that everything we discuss on stream today is for educational purposes only. Nothing is intended to be medical advice. So if you guys have a mental health medical question, please go see a licensed professional and ask it. First announcement, yesterday was daylight savings time. And if you are in an archaic country that observes this outdated phenomenon, I understand that many people are confused about, y'all want to, I can't do a Boston accent. The Texan accent just comes out instead. Oh my God. I'm trying to say Boston. But it's Texan. We can do lots of accents. We can do an Indian accent. We can do a Texan accent. We can do Southern. Know what I'm saying? Which voice is the real voice? Is this the real voice? Which one, chat? Which one is the realest of them all? Who can know? Which one is real voice? Okay. Yes, real voice. All right, so so we observed daylight savings, which means Dr. K is a little bit slow today because I missed out on an hour of sleep. And yeah, so Wednesday we're gonna figure things out. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'll be streaming, hopefully. And I imagine we'll have a guest of some sort. So looking forward to that. Couple of other announcements. Friday, it says goodbye chat. Yes. So I don't know exactly what we're doing on Friday either, but starting on the 22nd, between the 22nd and the 31st, possibly through the 2nd, because I imagine I'll be wiped, we will, or I won't be here. We may still have some interesting streams going on. I've been told that it is a secret, that I've not been informed, but I will not be here. I'll be working on one of our super secret projects. And the project runs from the 22nd to the 31st, and then unclear whether I will have the energy to stream on Friday. So just a quick heads up there. And then I've been told to ask chattars. Twitch chat, can you guys spam I was here? I need y'all to spam I was here. Can y'all do that for me? There we go. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. I imagine that will be clipped into somewhere. Yes, yes, give me the energy, chat. Spam it faster. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Baited. So, did you guys hear the story about... that's a plane that blew up in the hangar. Never mind. Okay, let's move on. So today, lots of fun. So we're gonna do give you guys an insight into our coaching program. So we have one of our awesome coaches today who is going to be coaching Dr. K, and so I'm going to be the client and he's going to be the coach. And so what we need to do is probably figure out what the coaching scenario is. Let me ask him. What do we want to vote on a coaching scenario, or are we going to wing it? Yeah, vote. Gaming addiction? You guys tell me, what do y'all want me to play? Okay, looks like porn and incel and stuff is okay. So we can do that. Okay. Let me see, what channel do I go to? Okay, so let's do social isolation. Incel. Okay, I call him. Oh god, he's not my friend. What other topic? Oh, okay. Okay, so let's oh no. I blocked him. Okay, so we'll ask Pax. And okay, sounds good. So it looks like we're gonna do there we go. Pax has accepted my friend request. Okay. No. It was the Clyde bot was telling me that I was not allowed to call him. So let's move into the call. All right. So and then let me just let's do it. Pax Fog.
What's up, Dr. K?
Hey, so are you okay being on? Do you want to just do audio, or are you okay doing video?
Video's fine.
Okay. So chat, meet Pax. Pax, can you just, or is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions about your experience as a coach at Healthy Gamer before we dive in?
Hell yeah.
So why don't you tell us
dude.
how you came to be a coach to start off with?
Yeah. I mean, think about it karmically. It's a long story. But I basically heard about Healthy Gamer through Bobby Scar, and then from there I was like, oh, this seems cool. And then I saw you guys were like looking for coaches, and I was like, maybe I can do that. And so I just applied for it almost a year ago now. And now I'm like here. It was pretty seamless. Pretty unexpected.
That's awesome, man. You seem a touch nervous. Are you nervous?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, because I know what normal Pax looks like now. So it, try not to think about it. And so I'm sure once we dive into the coaching, you feel good about that. You want to coach me RPing. This you should be familiar with, right? So you remember our coach role playing from training and how terrible it was to have me as a client?
Yes. Well, I was actually trying to remember that. I was like, I don't know if I ever did it with Dr. K, because I think I remember doing that with other coaches.
Okay.
And I was like curious. I was like, I wonder what Dr. K's version of like a challenging client is, because that's my assumption of what we're going to be working on.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I'm going to give you a choice, Pax. You can tell us a little bit about what clients you see commonly and what kinds of problems they have, and then we can kind of pick one of those, or or maybe you can just share a little bit about that, and then Twitch chat has given me some suggestions, so we can. You can give yourself over to the whims of Twitch chat if you want to, or why don't you tell us a little bit about what you usually see, and then maybe you can deviate Twitch chat from what they want. Yeah.
I mean, chat is notorious for knowing what they want. I guess what I experience as a coach, what I see a lot is I see people who, they always are like, I just want to get unstuck. It's like, what is that? What is unstuck, right? And very commonly they know what they should be doing, but they can't bring themselves to do that stuff. So then they're like, well, now what? And then we talk about that and kind of go from there, and we end up getting into their past, and that tends to be helpful for reasons I'm sure hopefully everyone here understands. But I would say that's the biggest trend is like I know what to do, but I don't do it. What's happening? Am I broken? Yeah.
Great. Perfect. Okay. So we'll do that then. So okay. let's I'm going to be a particular flavor of unstuck. I'm going to combine. Have you been watching the stream? Did you see what chat wanted?
Hell no. I have not
good.
done that yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So let's get started.
Okay, cool. Is this our first session?
Yes. Oh wait, do you want it to be later than our first session?
I was just clarifying, because if it's our first session, then I don't know you, and so I have to ask questions.
You can skip. Right? You can skip a spiel unless you want to give it, or you want to give the spiel. How long does your spiel take?
6 minutes.
Okay, great. Let's do the spiel. So just let's first session from the top.
Okay. I usually have a note in front of me that has the things I need to hit on it.
Okay, so don't just what you remember. You don't have to include everything.
Sure. Hello, Alok. It's Alok, right? That's
Yeah.
how I... Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so I'm Paxton. Welcome to coaching, or Pax, whichever, doesn't matter. So yeah, what I'm just gonna talk about some boring shit for like a few minutes, and then we can kind of like launch into like what we need to be doing. Yeah, so coaching, like, I don't know what your understanding of coaching is, but basically we kind of operate under the assumption that like if you understand yourself, then like you can kind of do what's in your best interest and kind of go from there. And what keeps people kind of in place is like they don't really understand much about themselves. And so I'm assuming that's like part of the reason what brings you here, and
Absolutely.
we'll get into that more. Cool. So
I think sometimes I understand myself too well.
Okay. Yeah, I want to get into that in a second, but I guess I'll just go on about this. So, yeah, I'm Paxton. I've been coaching for since last summer. This is like what I do full time. It's like what's on my mind all the time. This is my jam. And just some expectations about how this is going to work. So we're going to show up at the same time every week for 50 minutes. Sometimes we go a little bit over that. That's usually fine. I try to avoid it because I have other clients kind of lined up after. And yeah, sorry, I'm trying to remember the next bullet point. Basically what we're going to be doing in session is like, I'm going to ask you questions and you're just going to like answer me, and we're kind of just having a conversation. Sometimes I give assignments. I don't usually do that. It's not really my thing. Some coaches do more, some coaches do less. I'm one of the ones who do less.
I'm not really great at assignments anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And yeah, and as for like let's see, there's going to be surveys after every session, so like I encourage you to get those done as you get them. If you have trouble with assignments and that sort of is one of them, then we could talk about that. We might have to do them in session, but I don't get any of that data. None of that goes to me, so you can be as honest as you need to. I don't see what you write. As for like confidentiality, like you already signed off on that. I'm not going to like tell people your business. Like me and the other coaches, we kind of talk about cases anonymously to kind of like, get input on sort of like how to help people, like just like what my clients in this situation, like what should I focus on, right?
Okay.
And then yeah, medical disclaimer. This isn't therapy. I know this isn't therapy. It's not treatment of any kind. We're just two people having a conversation.
But I've never really been in therapy. I thought this was like, what's different about this in therapy? Isn't it just talking about your feelings?
It can be, but it not always is. Like it's not always the case. So like we talk about feelings here. That tends to be the natural progression. But some clients, we talk more about feelings than others. Therapy is very specialized. It's very specific. Whereas coaching is, I don't know. Like I don't want to just say I'm just a dude, but like I'm kind of just a dude. And I just want to like help you figure your shit out. Whereas a therapist is like, they're not. I can't really speak for them, so maybe I won't. But I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so like that sounds great, man. Like, how do we get started?
Why don't you tell me like what brings you to coaching? Like, what's your situation? What's like your deal? What's your vibe?
Well, kind of like you said, I kind of feel like I'm stuck.
Yeah. What makes you say that?
Well, I feel like I kind of know what I need to do. It's just I'm sort of like lazy. Like I was born with like the undisciplined trait on my character sheet.
Okay.
And so, you kind of mentioned that like we're here to figure things out, but I feel like I've kind of already figured everything out. Like I know what I need to do. I kind of know who I am and what my weaknesses are. It's just like I can't figure out a way to, I really want to get more disciplined.
Okay. So first thing, I apologize if I laugh. I laugh a lot, but it's nothing. If that bothers you, let me know. Second,
no, I get laughed at a lot. It's no big deal.
Fair enough. We will talk about that more.
Come on, Fax, you can't let that slide, bro. What would you actually?
It's your face, dude.
I know. It's my fault. It's my face.
That would not. That that would not.
Yeah, and that's not how you would respond. Sorry. Discongruent affect, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, it sounds like you know yourself pretty well. And so it's like, if that's the case, it's like, what can be done?
Absolutely,
Where do you
man.
go from here?
Yeah.
Right?
That's why, I've been watching Dr. K's streams for a while. And, I was thinking that, like, by the way, when do I get to see him?
On stream this week later, I think. That's not like kind of how, like, you're not gonna like have a session with him. I mean, you can like apply for like his individual, like he's like a psychiatry website where like you can kind of sign up for that. I think they're at capacity right now because Healthy Gamer kind of blew up out of nowhere. But was that an expectation you had? Did you think?
No, I wasn't sure. It's just, sometimes I think that like, I feel like he would really understand me. And he seems to like help a lot of people like get unstuck. So, that's why I signed up for coaching.
Right. Okay. Let me think about that. Yeah, so you're saying because he understands people, he could be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried help from a lot of people, and it hasn't really worked. So, I sometimes feel like this is my, like, last chance.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, I don't know, man. Like, I've tried everything. I've tried, like, reading books, and, like, I've tried, like, I've watched a lot of Jordan Peterson's stuff, and like, no matter how important it is to clean my room, like, I just can't clean my room. Like, it's still a mess. And so I don't know, it just sort of feels like, like I was just born with that undisciplined trait, so I don't really know, like, I feel like if I could flip a switch in my brain, then like my life would be awesome. Like, I know exactly what I need to do, and I just need to flip that switch. And once that switch gets flipped, and I've seen it kind of happen on stream with Dr. K, where like you can see people like flip a switch in their brain, and like I just know that their life is transformed, and that's what I need.
Gotcha. So what I'm hearing is that you've done a lot of kind of external like research, and like about how that relates to you, about all the things you like need to do, and so you're saying like, since everything that has to be done, you just need to like find this switch and like flip it. And like, once that happens, it's like your life is perfect.
Absolutely, man.
Okay. What about you makes you say that you're just like undisciplined, that you just like have this trait?
Well, I mean, like I see other people like living their lives, right? But that's not what I do. Like, other people get up and they, like shower and shave and like cook themselves some breakfast and stuff like that. And in my case, it's sort of like I just wake up and, just hop online and like kind of screw around on Reddit for like an hour or two. And then, I know there's like stuff I need to do, and then like I start watching Twitch and I kind of have that up on my second monitor. And then maybe I'll like play some games, and then like, I have some pizza left over from yesterday. So.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is like, compared to other people, you're like not disciplined because instead of waking up,
yeah, I mean, because like other people like wake up and they fucking do stuff, and I just wake up and I don't do shit.
Well, what do you think about that?
It sucks.
Sucks about it.
Sorry?
What sucks about that?
Well, I mean, it's like every day is like Groundhog Day. Like every day is the same, and like every day is like, like every day that goes by, like I just know exactly what I need to do. I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, I just think of like a dog on a leash that's just like barking at everything because it wants to like run at stuff, but it's like on this leash and doesn't really understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good way of putting it. Like, I do feel like, definitely there's something holding me back. So that's like, like the switch. Like, I want to get off the leash,
Mm-hmm. Yep. What's it like to be on that leash? Like, you say it sucks and like it's frustrating, but like, is there more to it?
I mean, I think it's sort of like, the difference is that with a leash, you can take it off. But like in my situation, it feels like it's like a leash made out of concrete. Like, it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've tried a lot of stuff, and like people have tried to help me too. And it's been a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like it's also kind of like fucking annoying because like they tell me like they know what it's like to like be in my shoes, so they'll just like tell me stuff, right? They'll be like, oh, you should just do this, bro. Like, just go
Right.
go and do that, bro. And I mean, I would if I could.
Yeah, it sounds like they don't really get it, and like there's kind of a disconnect. It's like that stuff already.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need Captain Hindsight telling you what you should have done or what you should be doing.
Well, I mean, it's like their brain. Their brain is different from my brain, right? Like they were born with the discipline trait, so they can do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, you've kind of said a lot of times now, like you've kind of made this allusion to like, I'm just this way and that's just how it is, and like other people aren't.
Yeah. I guess what he isn't that I'm confused. What is that? Yeah. What?
Yeah, so like go on.
I'm just that's because that's how it is.
Right. So when I think about that, like if that's just how it is, then it's like I don't know if we can do anything, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's why I kind of feel like this is my last chance, because it's like, I don't feel like I can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be easy if I was like disciplined.
Yep. So what? I mean, you say like it's just how it is, but like what's underneath it? Like, how do you know that? How do you know that that's just how it is for you?
Well, I mean, because I have lots of evidence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I have like, just for example, like I sometimes like am alone and like I want a relationship, but I can't get one. And, I've kind of like, I've tried that in the past, but like women just find me unattractive. So, there's just really nothing I can do about that. It's just truth,
That you're unattractive.
Yeah.
So like you can't ask people out because it's just like you just know like you're unattractive and it's like there's no point.
Absolutely. Because like I was reading this website and they were talking about signals, like, how to tell if a girl likes you, and like they don't give me any of the signals. Like, so I know they don't like me.
Oh, okay. So because you're not getting these signals that you researched on the internet, it's like you just know they don't like you at all.
Yep. Right, because that's how you know, like, whether they like you or not. And so I just know, because like I can also look in the mirror and I can tell. I don't have the jawline.
Right. Because you don't have the jawline, you're not getting the signals. And so you can't ask anyone out.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, man, I feel like the way you're presenting. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I guess I could, but like it's not gonna go well,
What makes you say that?
Well, because I'm not getting the signals, so like, it's just not going to go well.
What does it mean to go well?
I don't know. I guess like she'd give me her number.
Okay.
I guess I don't really know. Haven't really thought about that before.
Okay. What does it mean if you ask her out and she doesn't give you her number?
I think it just confirms what I knew before, right? That like she wasn't giving me the signals, so that's, you know, that I'm unattractive. Like I kind of know that already. It's just like,
Okay.
you know, it's just testing a hypothesis, like finding proof for your hypothesis.
So if you know it to be true, what's the harm in asking then? What's the harm in just trying and seeing what happens?
Well, I mean, I already know what's going to happen, so like, what's the point in doing it?
Yeah, you sound like you know what's going to happen a lot of the time. Like you sound very convinced. Like you know how things are going to pan out.
Yeah, smart dude, super high IQ.
Right. Have you ever been wrong about that? Just curious. Have you ever thought you knew what was going to happen and then you were pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised?
I mean, very few times, right? Like, sure, like
Sure.
theoretically, I can be wrong. Like sometimes I make posts on Reddit that get downvoted, and people tell me I'm wrong. But
Damn.
you know, that's just because they're a bunch of noobs.
How does that feel when like a post gets downvoted a bunch?
That's a really good question. I never really thought about that. I mean, I think it sort of like feels like I'm, you know, like the world is all like telling me one thing and like I think something else, you know, and it just makes me feel a lot like, you know, there are like all the regular people out there who are sort of like living their lives and like that's their perspective of like regular people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of feels a lot like when people say, you know, just go do this. It's like they all think that and like everyone tells me this stuff like all the time. Like people tell me that like I'm actually like pretty good looking, you know, like you know, and stuff like that. Like people tell me all this stuff all the time, but you know.
That sounds like kind of very conflicting.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's just, you know, it's like people like my mom though, you know. So it's like it's her job to tell you that. And then also like some of my sister's friends and things like that. So it's just like
Got you. It's your mom's job and your sister's friend's job to say that you're attractive.
well, I mean, it's not really their job, but you know, they're like making fun of me, you know.
What makes you say that?
Well, I mean, come on, dude. Like, do you think I'm attractive?
What would it mean to you either way?
What do you mean by that?
So I mean, you're pretty certain that you're unattractive. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And so whether I did or not, it sounds like it doesn't matter. It sounds like it means nothing.
Well, I mean, if you were like genuine about it, you know, that's kind of interesting because like I feel like if you were to say, yeah, I do think you were attractive, first of all, that'd be fucking weird. And then secondly, like, you know, I feel like it'd be your job to say that.
Right?
But then huh?
Go on.
Yeah, but then I'm kind of realizing that I'm putting myself into like a logical fallacy, which is like, no matter what, it's like I kind of ask a question, but like I'm just noticing that, no matter what you say, I'm going to think the same thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like to me. Is like no matter which answer I give you, I'm either doing my job and like patronizing you, or I'm weird, or you were right the whole time. At the end of the day, you're correct.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna give that one back to you. Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I know what you're going to say.
What am I gonna say?
Well, you're going to say it's like all in my head and like this is all self-fulfilling prophecy or like, and like, that no matter what I see what you're saying. Like you're kind of like maneuvering me into this corner of like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't, I don't know, man. It feels like, you're going to say that it's like all in my head. That like,
What makes you think I would say that to you?
well, because it is like, it's like, like kind of like what you said, like you were like, what would it mean to you? And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of seeing that, I can see like, it doesn't matter how you would respond to that. And so like, what you would tell me is that, maybe I'm doing that in other parts of my life. Like I've watched Dr. K's videos. Like I know how this shit works,
Oh,
and then,
okay.
I don't know, man. Well, this is weird, dude. This is not what I was expecting.
Isn't it? Yeah. How do you feel right now?
It's like different from what I was expecting. Like I thought that, you would be like teaching me how to meditate and, I thought like maybe you would ask me like bunches of questions about like my feelings, like what feeling is that and what feeling is that and what feeling is that. But I don't know. I just didn't think it would be so, I don't know, man. It's just different from what I was expecting.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you're kind of, your expectation was not met. This is not what you were expecting at all, and so you're feeling a type of way. It's interesting because I've asked you twice now, kind of like about feeling, like how do you feel, and you've kind of never really given me a straight answer. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask you again, like how do you feel right now?
Honestly, like, like kind of confused, but also like a little bit intrigued. Like I think you may be a pretty smart dude.
I don't know. But okay, so you feel confused and intrigued. What's intriguing?
I mean, it's just not what I expected. I think that like I've watched so much stuff about this kind of thing, and like usually people are, just like giving you like, people will say like these are the 10 things you need to do to get your life in order. Like JBP's book about, the 12 rules. And it's like,
Yep.
and so it's different because you're not really like giving me rules, which is like what most people kind of do, right? So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've sought out a lot of those rules and nothing has really come of it.
Well, yeah, because I'm undisciplined. So it's like how do I get undisciplined is the question. And I don't really know if we're working on that or not. I thought you would like give me like a, like do this and then do this and then do this kind of thing.
Right. Let me think for a second. So remember when we were talking about attractiveness like 2 seconds ago?
Yeah.
Right. And like it really seemed like for a moment there you kind of like started to think a little differently about your assumption. Am I wrong there?
No, I mean, I think I don't know that I was thinking differently, but like I was definitely thinking about it, Like I'm still pretty sure, like I've gotten mountains of evidence about how unattractive I am. So I'm, that past is still real, but like, I think it's definitely sort of a little bit different. I don't know.
What do you mean by that? How is it different?
I don't know, man. I just feel kind of, confused.
What's confusing? I thought you knew that you like weren't attractive. You had like all this evidence, right?
Yeah, but then there's this whole other angle of like maybe it's all in my head, right?
What makes you think that?
I guess you. I mean, don't you think I'm stupid? Like I mean, like, it's dumb, dude. Like, I'm like confused. Like, you must think I'm an idiot because like you're asking all these simple questions and like I don't have good answers for them.
You say you don't have good answers. Like, what makes you say that?
Well, because like I could hear the words coming out of my mouth and they're not like you're asking me like why I'm confused and I can't even answer that. It's sort of like
Yeah, you seem pretty taken aback right now.
yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, this isn't what I was expecting.
How do you feel like physically right now?
Kind of uncomfortable, like just I got like a little bit of tightness in my chest. Like I'm not, I feel like I need to take a deep breath and sort of sit up.
Okay. Do you want to try that? Do you want to like take a deep breath and like sit up?
Yeah, maybe. I guess.
I'll do it with you. I mean, I'm standing, but is that okay?
See, I should get a standing.
Acceptable?
Yeah, that's cool. I should get a standing desk too.
I'm not laughing at the client. I'm laughing at Dr. K. Sure. So let's take a deep breath. Yeah.
All right, Pax, let's pause.
Just like, yeah, please.
So Pax, how was that for you?
Familiar, but very extreme, I would say. I've never had a client who's like on that end, like so far on that end, right?
Absolutely. So Pax, I thought you did a fantastic job. I was trying to throw you as many curveballs as I could in one session.
I could tell.
Yeah. I thought you did a really fantastic job. I'm going to check. Chat, what did you guys think about that? No, so this is the thing is so even though I was trying really, really hard, Pax, to be so sure of my beliefs, you did a fantastic job of like confusing me, which is exactly what you need to do, right? So like, because when people have very rigid beliefs about themselves, what we want to do is like, we want to, it's sort of like they've saved a document that is only readable, but is not editable. And so confusion is actually like the first step of moving from pre-contemplative to contemplative. So you did actually a really good job of that, of, kind of asking open-ended questions. I also threw out a lot of traps for you, which you dodged really well, right? You want to tell people what the traps are and what we explain about traps?
Yeah, I mean, asking me shit like, do you think I'm attractive? Like, do you think I'm stupid? Like, anything where like, if I say yes or no, I've essentially confirmed something that they believe, right? And so by kind of avoiding that, I'm not giving them what they want, because a lot of times when people are that pre-contemplative, like they just want to be right about what they feel so sure about, because like weirdly enough, that's like, it's kind of ego gratifying, and like it kind of makes them, even though they feel like shit all the time, it like makes them feel better because they're like, well, I'm right and no one can help me, so like there's nothing to be done, right?
Right. So the beautifully said.
I don't want to give that.
So Pax, I thought that was a perfect summary of what I was projecting, which is I want to be right and fuck you, and so nothing can be done. Right. I'm helpless. Exactly. I'm hopeless. I'm sure I'm helpless and hopeless, and there's no way that I'm wrong about being helpless and hopeless. And so like when you create confusion, that's actually really, really good. Because then, like, what am I confused about? It changes the rigidity of me being hopeless. And so you also did a really good job of, I said like, oh, you think like something about when I was talking about the self-fulfilling prophecy, you did a really good job around that too, where you were like, oh, I said something like, you think that, what did I say? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Where like, you kind of, like I said that I felt confused and, oh, you must think this is all in my head. And you did a really, really good job of like not stepping into that trap too. Because you could have said, you know, because it is all in my head and you know it's all in my head. And you could have said, it's all, yeah, like, you know, sort of like I wonder about that sometimes. And so even though that would have, and so I for people watching, so like that was a really, really important point for PAX because I was moving in the right direction. And if PAX had agreed with me, then I would have gotten super defensive and then like retreated. I don't know if you guys are able to follow that. But so like, but when you didn't own that, when you were like, no, I actually don't, you didn't say yes or no, right? You did a good job. You were like, no, I don't think it's all in your head. No, it must be so hard for you. And like, yeah, maybe it is all in your head, bro. You know, and so the more that you were, and there's a very like sort of Tai Chi kind of like manner to you, Pax, which is awesome. Which is that I'm trying to push you like one way or the other. And I'm like, it's all in my head, right? And then you're like, I'm not going to take that bait. And the less bait you take, like the further I move in my own exploration. Because like I have all these patterns in my mind that are going to snap to judgments and close off kind of like free thinking. And so when you don't like let me do that, I'm trying to snap either way. Do you think I'm attractive? Oh, if he says yes, oh, it's his fucking job to say that. Like, oh, he's just lying to me, right? It's just like my mom. And if you say no, oh, see, I knew all right all along. In either case, I'm moving into completely explored territory that doesn't help me at all. And so when you avoid that trap, it like forces me to like think about stuff. And so confusion in this scenario is absolutely like, that's what we see in coaching is like people get confused because we start to like work in a way where we don't let them go down like the same old track over and over and over again. And if you let me go down that same old track over and over again, it's going to be the self-fulfilling prophecy. So anyway, other thoughts about that? That was a really good job. I'm, you know, I didn't make things easy on you for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of prepared for the worst a little bit. I was kind of anxious when I was kind of asked to do this, but I thought it'd be a great sort of challenge.
Yep.
Because I think there was like this joke like made about me like last year at some point for like a week that's like I'm the person to send really challenging clients to, and I don't even understand how that's because I like all my clients are, I feel like they're way easy and they're not that difficult. And so I was nervous in that sense. But yeah, no, I thought every time you threw a trap at me, I wanted to laugh because I was like, I know what you're doing, and I hate it, but like, that's fighting games, man. Just like learn fighting games, and you know how to avoid this shit.
Yeah,
that's
well
sort
done.
of my equivalent. So
really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, Pax, I think you probably handle hard clients really well. I mean, I think a lot of our clients are quote unquote hard in some way, but that's just, you know, that's part of the game. People just need help.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I'll just toss out because I can't help myself is I think a lot of that perception can also come from people noticing in supervision, like how competent you are and how good of a job you do. And everyone else does a good job too. But I think you do a really good job of, you know, really just coming across as competent. And sometimes that can sometimes make people feel a little bit, you know, inferior. And then they're like, oh, Pax is better than I am, right? Which is all ego on their part. All y'all are great. But I think you are very good. Well done.
Thanks,
I wasn't holding back at all.
Yeah, I could tell. It was really annoying. It was super. I just wanted to laugh at you, and I mean, I guess I did, but yeah. No, that was some goofy shit.
Yeah, cool. Any thoughts or questions? I think we wanted to kind of keep it. You know, I didn't want to torture you for too long, but
I'm up for anything, man. I'm glad I could like help provide this, whatever this is in the long run.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people come into coaching and they don't know what the fuck it is, and like, you know, I think the way we kind of advertise it sometimes I hear the way you kind of pitch coaching. I'm like, oh, is that what it is? Should I be doing something different?
Yeah.
So hopefully this like gives insight, because I think coaching is like, in my experience, it seems to help people a lot in ways that they really could never sort of anticipate.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
which I think is the coolest thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so hard to like explain to people, because the whole point is that you're going to be like looking at yourself in a way that you did not expect. Which in turn is like hard to explain, because it's like when you buy a bag of Cheetos, like you know what's inside the bag. The problem with coaching is that the value of it is that people are going to be teaching you, and just like Pax kind of beautifully demonstrated, I have these really rigid beliefs about myself, but there are ways that you can ask questions that get people to question their own assumptions about how they operate in the world. And when you can genuinely get someone to question, because the other thing, we didn't talk about a lot of other stuff that you did really well. Like you had a lot of opportunities for judgment. I think you did a really good job. Also kind of commenting on the laughter and just sort of saying like, hey, it's something I just sometimes do from time to time. And things like that, where I think you did a good job of like really making me feel comfortable with like sharing that I was confused. And so you really built an alliance pretty quickly. Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot, Pax.
Thank you. Poggers. Good luck with the rest of the stream.
I feel like we should do this more. Do you feel like if people watch this now that no other coach will ever do it? Or do you think that?
Shit, man. I mean, I think this was super fun. I think it's a good sort of training experience, even though I don't know if I need that, but like it was definitely, I felt challenged and I thought it was helpful. I've always like, it's so funny because like I remember this time last year being like, man, it'd be so cool to like do an interview with Dr. K. And now
real voice chat, real voice.
and this is not how I expected it to pan out. So I guess that I don't know if that answers your question. I don't think I did.
Yeah, we'll check in with the folks in supervision, but yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm really glad you came on. I think that all of y'all are fantastic, which is we I think our selection process, I'm amazed by how good it is, because I think a lot of times, like I don't know if you have any background in psychology or anything, but a lot of people think that they're like grossly unqualified to be a coach. But really what we find is that like you just need someone who like shows up, cares, pays attention, and tries, and is willing to be honest. That's really what we look for. It's not really like a particular professional background.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason I was so surprised when I was like invited to do this. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck I would even do without the other coaches, because like I think for a large majority, they keep me really sane. Not that this job drives me crazy, but like sometimes I need to like, deflate and sort of get stuff out, because like you're taking on a lot of people's feelings. So,
Pax,
you know how I feel.
Can I ask you kind of one last question? So it sounds like maybe you felt underqualified when you applied to be a coach.
Yes and no. So I saw the description for like who they were looking for, which was basically like, what it's like to kind of deal with like game addiction or whatever. And like, you're kind of in a better place now. And I was like, sure, relate to that pretty hard. My life was shit before. And that was like why I applied. I also applied because I was like, if that's the qualification, then like, there's no reason not to, because like, this sounds like a tight ass job. And like, I would like that. But otherwise, like professional, like I have no psychology background. I've never taken a psychology class in school. I don't know shit about shit. I just know what I know, and what you taught us, I think, has been immensely helpful. And like, who knew it could be so effective? So thanks for that.
Yeah, because I think the other thing that's remarkable is that I think you do recognize that like you know a lot and you help a lot of people. And oftentimes I think that's an interesting experience that coaches have, is they feel like they're underqualified, but then like you guys are actually doing really good work. So thanks a lot, Pax, for all your hard work and for offering yourself on the sacrificial altar of stream.
Yeah, I'm sure Chet had a lot of funny original things to say about me.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch Chat's reaction, but also try to find someone else, because I feel like we got to do this again.
Okay.
Tell people it wasn't that bad, even though it was that bad.
The first 10 minutes, dude, there were like fireworks going off throughout my body. But after that, I was chill. I was cool as a cucumber.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Take care.
All right, peace out.
Adios. All right, chattars. So, couple of things to think a little bit about. I hope you guys found that useful. Was that good? Like, worth doing? Yay, nay? Okay, we're going to get to call-ins and stuff in a second. But we just have a couple of... so we were just thinking a little bit, our coaching program filled up at the beginning of March, and now we actually have a few slots open. So I wanted to just share with you guys, we asked our coaches what kind of people like benefit from coaching now that we have some slots open. So number one is kind of like, if you wake up, go to your computer, play video games, go on YouTube, Twitch, Reddit, just like I said, over and over and just cycle through platforms, it can feel like life is passing you by. And like, this is the cycle that you're kind of stuck in. It's sort of the Groundhog Day. Like, this is what we try to get people out of. And sort of this idea, like, where coaches will say, like, I'll ask them, like, how would you describe your clients? And they say that our clients feel like they're watching life go by instead of living it. And that's really what we try to help. And it's confusing because a lot of times, like, we don't realize that the reasons we're stuck are not just because we're undisciplined. It's not like we have that trait. It's like there's all kinds of stuff going on, right? So in the case of the person that I was role playing, like, I do a lot of self-fulfilling prophecy kind of stuff, which keeps me stuck. And how do you get people to realize you can't just tell them, hey, man, you're living a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then I'll say, yeah, you're right. And then I won't change it. Changing it involves a certain process. So that's kind of like one example of someone. So coaches also said, this is a good one, thinkers and not doers. So like people who constantly think, dream, or have aspirations, but never quite do them. Like, you fantasize about what you're going to do with your life. You're like, I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you don't actually do any of it. Right? And so, like, this is where, like, so one of our coaches was saying that, if I had a dime for every client who is like, I want to be a pro gamer or streamer, but like, I never hit the go live button on Streamlabs, those are the people that we try to help. And so what we really try to do is help people understand what gets in the way of putting your thoughts into actions, right? There's some kind of barrier. And this is where it's not like a physical barrier, because you can hit the go live button at any time. You can walk up to, the person you're attracted to and tell them, hey, would you like to go on a date sometime? You can do that, right? The problem, COVID and stuff aside, the problem is that, like, something holds you back in here from shooting your shot and trying to turn your thoughts into actions. And that's what we really try to help people understand and overcome. And then kind of the third bucket of people that we really work with a lot is people like who struggle with their emotions. So sometimes this means like people who feel super numb, and like sometimes they can kind of feel like something at the edge of an emotion. They're not really able to like identify their feelings. We call this, there's a scientific term for this called alexithymia, which means inability to determine your internal emotional state. And so the part of the problem is that numbness, like, emotions are actually like a really good like motivator, right? So we can think about inspiration or fear or other kinds of things that can actually motivate us to action. And also there are things, emotions can be paralyzing, like fear or anxiety or sadness. And so the problem is that if we're alexithymic, like, we can't fix something because we can't diagnose it properly. Like, in order to, like, we have a really common saying in medicine, good diagnosis precedes good treatment. And if you're numb on the inside, then like you don't even know what to fix. So we try to help people work through alexithymia, understand what their emotions are, understand what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what their patterns are that hold them back. And just a quick, if I had to give PAX feedback on one thing, it's just differentiating coaching from therapy. So I want you guys to like understand this, that coaching is not about treating a clinical illness. So we're not talking about like treatment for depression, right? We're talking about things like stuckness. And this is actually why the profession of coaching has grown so much in the last decade or two, is because therapists are not trained in how to help people do that, right? Our training is largely clinically oriented. So it's for people who are mentally ill or have a clinical diagnosis. And so certainly, like, you can be depressed and be stuck, but not everyone who's stuck has a clinical depression. And our methodology is really like draws more on sort of like, you know, my years of training to become a monk and sort of helping people understand themselves so that they can do what they want to in life. Questions? Does that make sense? Yeah, so one person is asking, so being dead inside is the same thing, right? Sort of. I mean, it could be, right? So that's one of the options for being dead inside. Any other questions? So one person's asking, what do I do if my problems were the ones that you roleplayed today? So first thing to understand, there's a reason why we roleplayed that, right? Because this is what our coaches are good at working with. And Pax did a really good job. I know sometimes it doesn't look like progress, but I want y'all to understand how big of a step it is to become unsure about what's holding you back in life. And this is the biggest issue, is that a lot of us are so sure that what's holding us back is something that is unfixable. It's like the damnedest thing. The diagnosis that we provide is like something that is untreatable. And so then there's no point in moving forward. There's no attempt to move forward. There's no reason to move forward. So the first thing that you've got to do is help people understand that their diagnosis is wrong. It's not unfixable. And then you can start fixing it. So very practically, this is literally like, this is our, you know, these are our most common issues. We asked Pax, what do you see? He's like, people get stuck. And this is how Pax works with them. Pax actually does a far better job with them than he did with me because I was making his life a living hell. But, and practically, this is why we have this coaching program, chat. It's like Dr. K was like, I can talk about this stuff. I can illustrate it. And there's a little child in the corner. Daddy's working, sweetie. Thank you, love. And so like, this was like, you know, we can help you guys with this. So if you are in this scenario or these scenarios, sign up for coaching. That's what it's there for. We've got some spots opening up as of March 14th, which was yesterday. Okay. So other questions, chattars? Yeah. So how can you determine if there's clinical depression or just being stuck? So I'd say that, you know, the best way to determine it is to go see a licensed professional and get evaluated for clinical depression. Second thing is that sometimes our coaches, like, they're not really trained in diagnosis, but like they can certainly try to help you with the stuck part. And we know this in supervision. So I don't know if you guys got this from PAX, but like we meet, you know, for 6 to 8 hours every week, like myself and 2 other psychiatrists and like all 60 of our coaches. And so we have like meetings throughout the week where we try to like help people navigate you know, what's going on with a client. And sometimes we'll make recommendations that they seek mental health treatment. Yeah. So the short answer, the gold standard of knowing whether you're stuck or you have clinical depression is actually clinical evaluation. Okay, so the buckets, someone was asking, what are the buckets? So like, you wake up every day, it's kind of like Groundhog Day, you hop onto the computer, browsing stuff, watching stuff, playing stuff, cycle through platforms, your life is kind of, your life is sort of passing you by, and you're just sort of like watching it. Bucket number 2, which may be related, is like thinkers instead of doers, right? You have all these aspirations of stuff that you want to do, you fantasize about doing, and you just can't bring yourself to do it, and you're not quite sure why. Bucket number 3 is people who are like numb or dead inside and like feel like they don't, you know, they don't know how to feel. And so they don't know what kind of emotions are holding them back. Like they feel frustrated or just feel bad. You know, like I think like even the Pepe emotes are like good examples of like a generation that doesn't know how to feel. So we capture our feelings since we don't know the words. We use like an image to capture our feelings, right? And like that's literally like, because we don't understand, like we use the Pepe because like, you know, exactly, right? So and like there's so much nuance with the different Pepes. There's just the Sag, and then there's the helplessness, the frustration of living your life and like not being able to do anything, the supplication of Pepe, right? It's like, it's so good. But the problem is that, like, so I guess I never realized, but, I guess one way to think about coaching is it allows you to move from one Pepe to another Pepe. So, like, the Pepe with the glasses? Like, the one with the shades? Yeah. So, like the coaching program helps you move from this Pepe to the shades Pepe. Exactly. Right? And the clapping. Right? So that's what we do. So if that's what you need. So that's alexithymia, because we don't know what we feel. We don't have words for it. So the coaching is all about the evolution of your inner Pepe from a Sag to a Dank. Right? I never realized it that way. But that's it. It's beautiful. We've come up with our own language because we've gotten so divorced from our feelings that we have to use emotes to describe how we feel. And the problem is that, like, it's not enough to know that you feel Sag. Like, sure, it captures it, but then you've got to work on that. Okay, let's do call-ins. Evolution of your inner Pepe. Right? Okay. Right? Yeah, we want to take Pepes and turn them into fishes. Let's do Collins. Yo.
Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. So
Cool.
I just have one question to ask.
Mhm.
So I was wondering, how do I go from knowing something to believing in something? So, like, for example, how do I go from I know that I should be proud of my accomplishments to I am proud of my accomplishments?
Well, so... Okay. What do you go by, friend?
Dimitri. Dimitri's good.
Dimitri. So you're saying, how do I go from knowing something to believing something?
Yeah.
And then... I know it sounds weird, but I think it's the other way around.
Okay.
So, and then what's the example that you used?
The example I said was, how do I go from I know that I should be proud of my accomplishments to I am proud of my accomplishments?
Yeah, so I'd say the first statement is a statement of belief, and the second statement is a statement of knowledge.
Okay.
So I think that, I know it sounds weird, but I think the problem isn't that you need to go from knowing to believing. The problem is that you need to go from believing to knowing. So I know it sounds weird, but this is important to understand, okay? So what is a belief?
So belief is like, I believe that chocolate is sweet, for example. I'd say that's a belief.
So how would you define a belief?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know. I don't know how I would.
So a belief is like an opinion, right? So it's
Okay.
something that you think, but you don't know.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Right? So knowledge is truth, belief
Mhm.
is not.
Okay, yes, that makes sense.
Right? So this is where I would say that what you really tell yourself is, I should believe that, or I believe that I should feel good about my accomplishments.
hmm
But it's not a truth. You don't feel good about your accomplishments. It's like a should.
Yes.
It's like a belief, right? Like, I believe that my car has a tank full of gas. I don't know that my tank has a car full of gas. But so the funny thing is that beliefs can be changed. Like, we can change them like clothes. We don't really think about it that way. But, I believe my tank is full of gas. I mean, my car has a tank full of gas. And then the moment that I know, that belief can disappear.
Okay.
Like, as soon as I turn on my car, it's like, oh, whoops, I was wrong.
And then the belief is gone.
Absolutely. Right? So I think the problem is that you're stuck in belief and you need to gain knowledge, not the other way around. And this is where we talk about believing in oneself is not actually a belief. It's like, it's sort of confidence. It's actually knowledge in your capabilities is what we call believing in oneself. Right? So
Okay.
like this is where I'd say that, I sometimes, so I'm working with a client right now who is interacting with, someone that they're physically attracted to. And like this person keeps canceling on them. Like they'll make like a, a plan to meet up, and then like the person keeps canceling.
Yeah.
And so like this is the kind of thing where the person is like, yeah, I'll absolutely be there. I'll absolutely be there. I'll absolutely be there. This person believes that they'll be there, but they're not actually going to be there.
Yes.
Does that make sense? It's sort of like we sometimes believe, I believe I'm going to wake up every day and do yoga, but I'm not actually going to do that. So I think bizarrely, what holds us back is that we live in worlds of like hypotheticals and beliefs instead of like worlds of knowledge. So then your question is still sort of the same, which is that how do I transition from one to the other?
Yeah.
How do you think?
Well, this is from one of your iPad streams, but I think it would be the same way. Like you can learn just like a concept in school or something where you can, if you keep repeating it, when it needs to come up, it can like organically bubble up in your head.
Yeah, so that's not sort of how it works. So it's not the repetition. So this is what people think. It's kind of like the power of positive thinking, where if I keep on telling myself consciously, then I'll start to believe something. But that's not usually how it works. So I'd say that, what was the thing that you wanted to get to know about yourself, that you should be proud of your accomplishments? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Why aren't you proud of your accomplishments?
I often rely on other people to validate me so then I can be proud of my accomplishments. Like I need someone to be like, hey, you can be proud of this. I can't do that on my own.
Yep. So good. So that's a step in the right direction because you're starting with where you are. So instead of what you should be, you have to start from where you are. Oh, I should be at the top of the mountain. That doesn't do me any good if I'm at the bottom.
Yeah.
So then the question becomes, where did you learn to become dependent on the reassurance of others when it comes to your value?
I haven't thought about that.
Well, that's what you need to think about.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So a lot of times, Dimitri, we think about where we want to go. And instead what you need to focus on is how to... Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And look at how Zen master you are. Instead of looking at where you want to go, focus on where you are. Right. So this is where, like, somewhere along the way. So I want you all to understand that anytime you want to change a behavior, you have to start by understanding and dismantling the thing that keeps you where you are. You have to do, your problem is not a lack of knowledge, Dimitri. It's that you don't need to learn something. You need to unlearn something. Because if you think about it, a child, like think about a 1-year-old child, like a 1-year-old child tends to be pretty confident in itself. They move about the world without, like, they just get up and they just like run around and they'll like bump into stuff and they'll fall down. They'll get up and they'll keep running. Yeah. They don't really care about other people's opinions. They don't even have a sense of confidence. They're just doers. They just like grab things and pick them up and then put them down and throw them and drop them. And so what we really need to do is like decondition ourselves. Yeah. And so I would really explore like where it was that you started needing other people's reassurances. Because at some point you were taught that like what you believe about yourself is not as important as what other people believe about you.
I definitely have because I did think about this. I know where the part of me that's like, my belief isn't valid comes from. I don't know where the part that was like, I need other people's beliefs comes from.
Well, but I mean, that's a great place to start because here you are saying, how do I learn how to believe in myself? Well, like you undo whatever you just talked about, which is like, oh, I know where I stopped believing in myself. Well, then, Dimitri, what happened, bro?
That, though?
Tell us the story.
Okay, so I considered this like to be like a good turning point in my life, but then like recently I've been thinking no. So growing up, all the way up until like grade 8, I was the like really, really annoying kid in class, like constantly interrupting, thinking he's like class clown when he's like everyone in the class is secretly thinking like just shut up and leave, please. So in grade 8, I had this amazing teacher. We'll call him Mr. B. He like starts this class very vaguely. He thinks like he says, sometimes we say things without taking into consideration whether other people care or not. So before you say things, I just want you to understand that like take into consideration like should I say it or not. And me being completely oblivious, I was like, oh, can't be me, right? There's no way he's talking about me. So then, I proceed to say something stupid. I don't remember what it was. And then he immediately says, Dimitri, I literally started off the class with the 10-minute spiel specifically for you. And you didn't get it, so now I have to single you out and tell you specifically that people don't care what you have to say. And I was like, I've never felt more embarrassment in my life, and that just shut me right up. So
There it
like up
is.
until right now. Yep.
So here's the thing. So Dimitri, I'm going to ask you a question. Before you
Okay.
seek reassurance, do you feel the way that you did when when Mr. B or whatever singled you out in front of your 8th grade class?
So you're asking like, do I feel before I make a decision, do I feel that embarrassment that I felt
No,
in the
like
class?
so like prior to the reassurance, my hypothesis is that you're going to feel the same way you did in that 8th grade classroom. And when you get the reassurance, it protects you from that feeling of being in the 8th grade classroom. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
So this is
close. So like I'm afraid of the consequence of me like I'm thinking like if I go out on my own again and do what I want to do again, I'm afraid that I'm going to feel that again.
yeah, absolutely. So there it is. Like there it is, right? So every time you get
Yeah.
reassurance, it protects you from the Mr. B 8th grade feeling.
Yeah.
And so I know it
sense.
sounds
Yeah.
painful, but what you've got to do is like go back to that classroom and be okay with that risk. And this is where
Okay.
so I think this is where you can journal, you can see a therapist, you can sign up for coaching. These are things where like I think you got to work on this. So then the next question is how. And so basically, in order to digest this, you have to, in sort of like a thoughtful and specific way, like relive kind of those experiences, or recognize in the present that what's the reason I'm seeking reassurance is not because of today me. Today me doesn't need reassurance. I have all of this emotional embarrassment that's stockpiled from the 8th grade, which needs reassurance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you're kind of leveraging like your mind is adding all of the emotions from the past into the present.
Yeah.
And so like definitely. The more you become aware, so you've got two options. One is you can work on it in the present. You can notice it happening. You can say to yourself, wait a minute, this isn't actually like me being afraid. This is like 8th grade Dimitri being terrified. And so do I want to let 8th grade Dimitri like control how I behave in this situation? You may not be able to control it, but just notice that it's 8th grade Dimitri who's like pushing, not you. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing you can do is work on the past. And that usually requires help. Although you can do things like meditation or journaling, but I really find it's far more efficient to work with someone else who can help you put those pieces of the puzzle together.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. That makes
cool.
sense.
Great question, Dimitri. Good luck.
Thank you. See you later.
Poggers.
Wait, he left. Okay, sorry. Next one. Okay.
Hey, Dr.
Hello,
K.
friend. Hey, how are you, friend?
Good. A little nervous, but I'm okay.
What do you go by?
David.
David. Okay. What's up, David?
I question basically was about lying to yourself, specifically around dating and relationships, because I was speaking to in the dating section of Discord. The guys were giving me advice on a dating scenario that I'm in, and basically most of them said I was lying to myself, and I don't know if I am or not. Basically, so I don't know where to go from here. If I should give you a bit of context
Well,
first.
let's start with this. There's a dating section of our Discord.
Dating relationships section. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Like, yeah, like they've been really helpful. But there was kind of a debate going on around me, and it went on for like 2 hours.
So it sounds like a lot of people, spend time and energy trying to really think about your situation and try to support you.
Yeah, it was really, really helpful. It's really helpful to have all them people there as well. It's really nice.
Cool. Props to the people who hang out in the relationship section of the Discord.
It's constantly busy. It's mad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe I should go hang out there. But anyway, so what? So why don't you tell us a little bit about your situation?
I don't know if I should tell you just really briefly about my childhood first, because I'm really good at diagnosing my own problems, but diagnosing them and then not acting upon them, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So my mother committed suicide when I was 8 years old.
Oh my God.
I was raised by my dad, who he's not very affectionate. He's not like mean or bad or anything, but just kind of very distant, if you know what I mean. So that's the environment I was raised in. I'm also gay, so it's a gay relationship thing. And I was also a Christian fundamentalist, so I had to suppress that for years and years and years. So I only came out about 3 years ago, and I went on the dating scene, and a few casual things here and there, nothing really worked. But I met someone about 6 months ago, and they checked every single box off on paper, all the qualities that I was looking for. And 3 months in, I brought up the question of where do you see things going? And they said that they don't know, and they're not looking for anything serious right now. They also have depression as well. So it's just these things keep building up, and he doesn't know where he thinks to see things going, but he's definitely not ready for a relationship. And a part of me wants to stay in this. I asked him to be casual, basically, and he said we could. And I'm wondering if I should stay casual in hopes that it might turn into something that I want, or should I just let him go completely and move on?
Okay. And what did the people on the relationship advice part of the Discord tell you?
A lot of them said I have to make sure that I'm not lying to myself, and that if I want a relationship and he doesn't, then you're settling for something that you don't want, and you should move on. But every part of me is emotionally screaming that I shouldn't do that. It's
okay.
I know that I've never come across somebody. Like, I've dated a few people, and he checks every single box, and my mind is like, well, if you just date casually for a while, then eventually it'll happen. But am I lying to myself? Do I really want to just? Am I kind of taking advantage of him, saying that I want a relationship when he doesn't? And am I trying to just stay with him, to manipulate him, to spend more time with him, so that he will eventually come round? And I don't know if I'm lying to myself, basically.
Okay. And so what do you what do you want, David?
All I know is that I like this person a lot, more than anybody I've ever dated. And I do want something serious, but I'm not in a rush to lock him down, if you know what I mean. And I've talked to dating coaches as well, and one specific advice they told me is to just forget about relationships. Stop trying to lock him down, because the second you try to lock him down, he's gonna, give you the friend zone speech or whatever. But I don't know if I should just let him go, and save myself from suffering in the future, or if I should gamble. That's what another word that the dating chat room said. It's a massive gamble that I'm taking on my part. So should I gamble or should I?
What's the gamble again?
To stay casual, drop my expectations, don't get emotionally committed to him, and just have fun.
Well, it sounds like it's a little bit too late for that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So David, first of all, man, I'm just really impressed by your courage and self-understanding. It sounds like you really had people in Twitch chat were kind of commenting like you really did not have an easy start position in life. Your spawn sounded like pretty rough.
It was rough.
So here's kind of what I think. So the first thing is that, I want to say it sounds like the people in the dating advice area really have your best interests at heart, and I think they're giving you really good advice. Oddly enough, I think that good advice and being authentic and true to oneself oftentimes run contrary to each other. So the first thing that I want to kind of point out is that you seem to be looking far and wide for the answer that you want, because you're getting different answers. And I just want you to notice like how, everyone's telling you to do this thing and you're like, oh, let me go ask Dr. K in the hopes that, fingers crossed, he's going to tell me to do what my heart wants to do. Do you notice that?
Yes.
Right. So it's almost like, in medicine, we call this doctor shopping, where like someone wants to get, a particular medication and one doctor says no. And then they look for the next doctor and the next doctor and the next doctor until they find someone who says yes. So be careful about that behavior in yourself. I'm not saying it's bad. Just be aware that you're like, who are you going to ask? If I don't give you the answer that you want, who are you going to ask next? Right? Because eventually someone's going to tell you what they want to. And I think it could be me, by the way. Spoiler alert.
I know.
So the second thing is that I want you to understand that I don't think it's good to lie to yourself, but I don't think you're lying to yourself. I think you're actually being quite honest with yourself, and what you feel is going to be stupid and painful. But I don't think that that's necessarily a reason why you shouldn't do it. You should just be honest about it, right? And this is where, like, I know it sounds weird, but like, I would say like at least 80% of the very successful relationships I have seen, and this involves like mostly my patients, but also includes my own, like have a lot of stupidity in them at some point. Like there's every reason that my wife like should have dumped me like a long ass time ago. Like I really was not, I was going nowhere in life real quick.
Yeah.
And I think, anyone, if I was her brother, I would have told her to dump me. And she was like pretty dumb about it. And thank God for that. And I've seen that like over and over and over again. I one time had this guy who, proposed, like asked a parent for their daughter's hand in marriage when she was 18. And like, it was like really dumb. Like he was a dude who was going nowhere fast, but like there was something about that where like, oddly enough, the dad was like, you know what? I go for it. Like, I support you. You seem like a good dude. And it just seems like, your luck is really bad. And so it was literally like a stupid decision, but it turned out to be the right one. So I think like not lying to yourself is not about avoiding stupid decisions. It's about making stupid decisions with your eyes wide open. And this is where I think that you have to be really careful about the attachment that you feel, because you're already, David, come on. Like, it sounds like you're head over heels in love with this guy. And
oh God, that'll take about 30 seconds to explain. Can I briefly, just
really
quickly? First we dated for 2 months, and over that course of 2 months, yes, I did. And out of an insecurity that I thought I was going to lose him, I brought up the question of where do you see things going? And he kind of, I wouldn't say rejected me, but said, no, I'm not ready for that right now. I have depression. I have too many things going on inside my head. I'm not ready for something like that. And he's only out of a previous relationship. And I don't know if this is relevant at all, but I read a book called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Spiritual teacher, which teaches you, taught how to let go. And also a few weeks after that, I had an LSD trip basically. And it revealed those things about myself, and revealed to me that I should focus on myself and kind of detach from these things. And once I do that, those things will come naturally to me. It's like the a verse in the Bible is like, seek first the kingdom of God and all these things will be added to you. Just focus on myself first and all these things will come to you, rather than chasing it and trying to make things happen and trying to focus on an outcome of locking him down into a relationship. If you know what I mean.
David, bro, you seem like a fascinating guy. I don't know many people, so I don't know many people who can weave together a self-help book about letting go, an LSD trip, and quoting a phrase from the Bible in like one explanation. But that's legit, man.
Yeah.
So I think that, it's good. It's okay to let go. But I think the other thing that, like, when we really talk about letting go, the other thing you can do is like let go of your, this is going to sound weird, but let go of your inability to let yourself love him, right? Because like if you love him, you love him.
Oh, that's dangerous.
It's absolutely dangerous, right? But it's really like letting go and sort of acknowledging that you feel this way about this person. Now, I'm not saying that you should try to pursue a relationship with them. I'm saying just like internally, a lot of times we'll lie to ourselves to protect ourselves, right? Because like you're trying really hard to let him go. And part of that process is acknowledging that you're holding on to him a lot. Otherwise you wouldn't have to try so hard. I mean, you're pulling every stop out, like the Bible, relationship advice, all of the resources of the universe to let yourself not love him anymore.
I know. And I just feel like if I go casually and we get closer and closer and closer, then I might get really attached and then get even more hurt in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where so I want to point out one more thing, and then I'm going to kind of give you essentially my advice. So the other thing is I think you need to be really careful about trying to control him. So like one part of you is trying to make him fall in love with you through patience and planning, right?
Yeah.
You're going to manipulate him into like realizing how much of an awesome person you are and like trick him into loving you. And then the other part is like even like the dating coaches were going to say like, oh, if you tell him how much you feel, like he's going to friend zone you. That's also trying to control him. Right? Because you're like not saying something to avoid being friend zoned. It's his choice if he wants to friend zone you. In both cases, like both of those are actually manipulative because you're trying to control his actions with your behavior.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think both of those are in a weird way like equally bad. So here's what I would say. If you want to live life not lying to yourself, don't lie to yourself and don't lie to him. Do it with eyes wide open and be prepared for the hurt. So this is something I want to toss out, and ultimately, you need to decide what's the right thing for you. But, I'd have a conversation with him where you kind of like are honest with him, but also respect his space, which is sort of like, hey, I understand that you're going through a lot. You dealt with a big breakup. Depression and whatnot. I know you want to keep things casual. There's a part of me that wants to keep things casual too. But in the back of my mind, I have to acknowledge that I have a hope that one day we could be more. I also understand that me having that hope could put a pressure on you. And that's not really what I'm trying to do. But I just wanted to let you know that like, I'm okay like having things casually if you're okay having things casually. But I just also want you to know that there's a part of me that wants more. And so if that part like kind of comes out, I'm sorry. And please let me know if you feel like pressured. And
well, okay.
Just let him know how you feel and then let him know that you're going to do your best to try to respect his space and wait for him to come around. But also let him know that you hope he does come around, but that you're afraid that could cause pressure. And you didn't want to cause that pressure, but you really didn't know what you wanted to, like, you didn't know how to navigate this. So you've decided, instead of like trying to control how much pressure he feels, what you're going to do is just be honest with him and do your best to like take that pressure off.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Right?
Wow.
So just acknowledge that you feel that way and you're be like, I'm doing my best to like not try to turn this into a relationship, but I would be lying to you. And that's something I definitely don't want, whether this is casual or serious. I don't think it's right for me to like lie to you or lie to myself. And the thing is, I think you are absolutely amazing. And so there's a part of me that's like, I'll take whatever I can get. But there's also another part of me that's like, I really hope this turns into something. And then I feel super like bent out of shape because now I feel like I'm being a dick and pressuring you into something that I genuinely understand you are not ready for a relationship. The last thing that I want is for you to be in a relationship that you're not ready for. So I respect that you need time and space and that you may never come around.
Okay.
What do you think?
Wow. Yeah, that'll be hard to bring that up in conversation, especially because we had such a heavy conversation only 2 months ago. But I think it has to be had. I think it'll be hard, but I think I will have the conversation.
Yeah.
And can I just throw one quick statement at you and see what you
Sure.
think before I go? Because I heard this the other day. It says that the right person at the wrong time is always the wrong person. I heard that, and I don't know if I agree with it or if it's true or not. Basically.
So, I mean, I think that sounds like a very wise saying, but I think, like, at the end of the day, there's a very real person, and you don't know whether this is, I mean, so, like case in point, right? You don't know what the future is going to bring. Like, I was the right person at the wrong time, or maybe I was the wrong person at the, I don't know what I was, but, like, our relationship so far seems to have worked out pretty well. And I'm glad that my wife, like, didn't do the smart thing. She did the stupid thing. She, like, chose love over sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, a lot of times people will do things that, like, you know, successfully married people with kids who have been together for 20 years will really have made some really dumb choices early on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Eyes wide open, David. And don't try to control him either way.
Yeah.
Right? Lay it out there and then, like, be honest and, like, don't lie to yourself and don't lie to him. If you really want a relationship with this person, I don't think manipulation has, you know, really belongs in it.
Yeah, of course. Okay. God, I've have to think about it, and I'm going to rewatch this.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, and you've also changed my life. You've also changed my life in loads of other areas. So thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man.
But I'll let you get to the next caller. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, David.
Okay,
goodbye. We gotta. All right, so we gotta. French, do you think it's inappropriate to ask David for, like, a resolution, like a month or two from now? Like, what happened?
Yeah, if he wants to DM me, or wait, actually, what was his username? I think that's okay. I mean, if he feels comfortable.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like in supervision where we're like, what happened with that client you presented 2 weeks ago? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Dragging the next one in. Hello.
Hello, friend.
Hi.
What do you go by? Yes.
My name's Pierce.
Pierce. Welcome, Pierce.
Thank you.
What can I help you with?
So yeah, I just I don't really feel a strong desire to be alive. My days are generally wake up, kind of force myself out of bed so I can pass the time at work until I can pass the time exercising, until I can pass the time just doing whatever around the house until I finally get to go back to sleep again, only to start all over again the next day. And you know, I haven't always been this way. There was a time in my life where I was pretty much stoked on everything, working, free time, socializing, being alone. And yeah, I'd just like to sort of get back to that.
Okay. So, Pierce, when was the last time you felt stoked on life?
I'd say maybe a few years ago.
A few years means like 1 or 3?
3, like 3 years ago. I sort of broke my heart. I had a like very similar situation to the last guy that was just on, and I would have loved to hear that advice you gave him. I think it's great advice that I didn't take. I was in a sort of casual relationship with someone that I had very strong feelings for, feelings that I had never felt before, and sort of changed my worldview when I met them. And they weren't in a place where they wanted a relationship, and so I was like, that's fine, and kept it casual. And I was never honest with my feelings. And then when they decided they were done with the casual relationship, everything kind of erupted out of me and burnt that bridge right up. So that kind of sent me into a depression for a really heavy depression for a while. It caused me to move states, hoping I could escape the pain, which obviously didn't work. I ended up seeing a therapist and talking to them about it, and they really helped me understand sort of like what depression and anxiety are, which helped sort of on the road to recovery for that specific problem. But I don't know, I feel like I never really got back to normal, and now I just don't seem to want to do anything. I just do things for the sake of doing them.
Okay, Pierce. Can I think for a second?
Definitely.
So you said you saw. So first of all, bro, I mean, it sounds like you've been through like a really rough couple of years.
Yeah, it was really bad in the beginning, and it's just sort of slowly transformed into this not so
Limbo?
much negative, but yeah, sort of like a just bleh.
So I'm hearing that you kind of maybe like went into depression, but like, you know, like, so two things happened when you had that falling out with this person. One is that you lost your zest for life and you became depressed. And it sounds like you've dealt with the depression, but there's still no zest in life.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it.
Okay. So the first thing is, what have you saw like, do you mind if I ask what the professional qualifications of the therapist you saw were?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to answer that. It was a friend of mine recommended the therapist to me.
Like, do you know if
And
they were like a social worker or a psychologist or a medical doctor?
I think they were a psychologist.
Okay. Do you know if you got like a diagnosis?
I did not get a diagnosis. It was just I would go in and just talk to them about how I was feeling.
And it sounds like it was helpful.
Yeah. It really helped me understand like what was happening to me and like why it was happening to me.
Okay. So there are a couple of things. Pierce, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? Just give me the ballpark. Like,
I'm 30.
okay. And have you felt zestless in life before? Prior to this?
No, not really.
Okay. So the first thing, Pierce, is that I think you should probably get another evaluation for actual like clinical depression. So I want you to understand that like when we think about your problem, there could be an element of clinical depression. Now it sounds like you were evaluated by a mental health professional, so like the likelihood of this is kind of because like you got one, right? And they sort of like worked with you through with things like that. But I think it's like when I think about situations like this, I feel like it would be really, really like dumb for me to say, oh, this like here's some like great spiritual advice about putting your life back together. And if there really is like a clinical thing going on, like, you know, I feel like I would be doing you a disservice by at least not acknowledging it. So first thing that I would say is like I would recommend getting evaluated, because sometimes actually like what clinical depression looks like is I think about a life that has no zest, even though there's nothing wrong. So what makes me think about clinical depression is like you've got a job, it sounds like you exercise. In theory, you should be having fun, but something's just in the way of like on paper what should be an enjoyable life, like just not being enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right? So I that's a little bit outside of the scope of what we do here on stream, and I sort of want to take the spiritual approach or psychological approach too, but I just want to say that I think it really behooves you to get actually evaluated by a mental health professional and see if you have clinical depression.
Okay.
Because if you get treatment for that, like there are all kinds of treatments. Someone in chat mentioned vitamin D. There are all kinds of things that you can do. You don't have to be on like an antidepressant or anything, but there are treatments for that include things like vitamins and herbs and whatnot that can like help you kind of come out of this. So it's just one thing that, you know, what we really want to do, Pierce, is take your situation kind of holistically. And that's one box that you should explore. Does that make sense? I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you're clinically depressed. Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Okay. So next thing is that, what I'm really here, like, so let me ask you something. I mean, is your life worth living without this person?
I mean, I think so. Yeah, I hope so.
Hold on. So there's a big difference between, so think about the question for a second and then give me your answer. Is it, I think so? I hope so? Because those are very different things.
Yeah. Okay, let me think for a sec. I'd say I hope so is a better answer. I have like friends and family that I know appreciate me, so it seems like, I should feel like it's worth living, but I just don't know.
Yep. So let me ask you something, Pierce. If you should feel like it's worth living, if someone who makes that statement, how do they feel about their life being worth living?
That it's not.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
Okay. So that sounds sad and devastating, but remember, let's meet ourselves where we're at, because this is where you have to move from, right? This is where you have to start your journey. And so
Right.
I know it sounds really bizarre, but I think that this could be one of the most important and positive things that has ever happened to you in your life. Because now you have to start the journey of asking yourself whether and why life is worth living, which is one of the most important questions you can ever ask yourself. It's the same question that the Buddha, Gautam, Buddha, asked himself, because he found himself to feel like you did. Like, he woke up one day and he was like, everyone says everything is great. They love me very much. I'm a powerful king and loved and respected by everyone. But there's no flavor in life. Like, I'm unhappy. And so he came up, well, I mean, he didn't come up with it, but he talked about this word dukh. Dukh is the Sanskrit word for suffering. And even if you're clinically depressed or not clinically depressed, what I'm hearing is that you're suffering. Like, you're not content and happy.
Yeah.
So then the question is what makes you unhappy?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's a very good answer. So this is where there are a couple of hypotheses. One is that if you're spiritually inclined, this is the beginning of the big league journey, the big leagues of the journey to find happiness. And this is where I would say to you, look for happiness in different places and say, is this the source of happiness? Is this the source of happiness? Is this the source of happiness? And then what you'll find is that none of those things will be the source of happiness. And through a lot of failed experiments, hopefully you'll discover where real happiness comes from. Second, more likely and potentially, easier route is that you really haven't gotten over that whole breakup. And that you probably envisioned, and your mind placed a lot of attachment on, my life would be so perfect if ... You ended up with this person. And it sounds like you've done a lot of good work in therapy, but you may not be done yet. And so it sounds like maybe you overcame the depression, but you haven't really regained your zest for that lost life. And so there's a part of me that just wonders, do you think you would be happy if this person was still a part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I thought about that a lot.
Yep.
And when I relive the scenario, it's never, oh, I wish we were still romantically involved. I just wish I hadn't messed everything up so bad that this person doesn't want to talk to me anymore.
Yep. So that's where like I think that so it sounds like you worked on some of it, but then there's that other part, right? It's not so much about what I'm hearing, Pierce, is that you're weighed down and you can't enjoy what life has to offer due to your regret.
Okay.
And so you still have to like let go of that burden to start living life again.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sort of like what I'm kind of hearing is like maybe some notes, and now I'm just going to toss stuff out, right? Because we don't really have time for a full interview, but like I'm hearing notes of like, what's the point of living life if I'm just going to screw things up? Like anything good that could happen, maybe I'll just like explode, because you used some word about like almost like explode. So where it wasn't just like you guys had an amicable breakup. It's like when things didn't go your way, you kind of really screwed up. And if you have this belief that like that screw up is still like you're going to respond that way, there may be a part of you that's like, don't even bother trying to do anything enjoyable in life, because anything that matters to you, you're just going to screw up anyway. Is there any of that in there?
Let me think for a sec. I don't really know.
Okay. So like I said, I'm kind of fishing there. So sometimes it hits a chord with some people, sometimes it doesn't. So Pierce, unfortunately, I'm going to have somewhat of a dissatisfying answer for you, which is that I can't in 5 to 10 minutes tell you how to find happiness in life.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And at the same time, I can give you a roadmap, which I think, unfortunately, like you're going to have to walk, right? And the first starts with a clinical evaluation, because something about what you're describing to me like sets off my like medical doctor alarm bells for potentially clinical depression. And this could be as simple as just getting treatment for clinical depression, and then it's like you're kind of fixed. Like I've seen it happen. So I'd really say start there. Option number 2 is maybe re-engage with a therapist or try to work with our coaches, but I definitely get evaluated, bro.
Okay.
About sort of like this idea of not just the breakup itself, but the regret and like, what's the nature of your like not really enjoying life. Option number 3 is I'd say do Om chanting. Have you seen that?
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so on stream we teach something called Om chanting, which maybe we can do right now. I can teach you how to do it. But so the other kind of possibility here is that, let me think about how to explain this. So if we think about unhappiness, there are like different dimensions of what makes us unhappy, okay? And this is where we had a video, an interview a couple months ago with someone about whether they could be fully healed. And in that video, we did a little bit of like diagramming, which I can't find my iPad right now. But if you look at the sources, you know what? I'm going to give you a good answer to this question. Can you guys hold on for a second? Pierce?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just check in with French real quick. I'm going to go grab the iPad, and I just want to check in with French on timing. Hey, how many more did we want to do?
This is the last one.
Perfect. So I'm going to teach a little bit, okay? And we're going to do meditation with Pierce.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Does that work for you?
I was confused because I have stream open. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So Pierce, I'm going to just grab my iPad because I want to illustrate like where unhappiness comes from and how to approach your problem. Because I just realized I can give you a good answer. So I'll be right back, okay? Chat, I got a pee too.
happened? Did he stream die? You're loading.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Hello. Oh, they can hear us. Hello. Oh, he's peeing? That's funny.
Okay.
It's been a long stream.
Yeah.
So, gotta unmute. Okay. Let me think about how to do this. I'm gonna have to start a video call. I'm going to have to...
Do I need to be at my computer for this?
I was gonna diagram something for you.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah. I just need to get off the floor.
Okay, and then what I gotta do is Chattar's over here. Got a screen mirror. Come on. No. Is this not gonna work? Damn it. Okay, we're gonna have to use... Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to use Microsoft Word because I don't know if this is gonna work right now. Okay, chat, bear with me for a second. Okay? All right, so... Oh. Okay, so what we're gonna do is teaching, and then we gotta zoom in, then we gotta screen share. Okay, so can you see this? Chat?
Yes.
Okay, so let's think about, we're going to do a table. So let's talk about depression for a second. Let me think about this one. Let's do a 3 by 6, okay? So if we think about, let's talk about like depression and feeling unhappiness. So this is where there's a Sanskrit or yogic theory called Panchakosha, which means 5 sheaths. And what the theory of 5 sheaths means is that essentially like the yogis were trying to understand like what is a person? What makes up a human being? And what they realized is that there are 5 layers of sheaths. So one is the physical, the second is
this one.
the energetic, the third is the emotional, the fourth is the intellectual, and the fifth is the spiritual. When you say you know this one, tell me what you mean by that, Pierce.
I'm reading a book on the Eightfold Path.
Yep.
And they talk about the 5 aggregates.
Yes.
These are the same.
So Panchakosha, right? So if we think about like when someone says, I'm depressed, like what does that mean, right? So the first is like there could be a neurochemistry imbalance. This is what we, like, this is why if we think about it, like, it's just weird, right? So depression is such a psychological thing. Like, it involves the thoughts in your mind. Our experience of, like, depression can be somewhat psychological. So how is it that I can, like, take a pill, which goes into my stomach dissolves, distributes throughout my body, and then suddenly my depression gets better? It implies that there's a physical component of depression, right? Next thing is we have something like psychotherapy, where, like, you know, what we do is we go to psychotherapy and like, we're not doing anything on a physical level. We're going and we're like having someone talk to us about our feelings. And so that there's sort of like an emotional, so sadness, let's say, is like what the emotional level of depression is. And somehow by just like, you know, our ears getting a certain amount of acoustic sounds, we just magically get less depressed. Like, that's really weird if you think about it scientifically. How can a pill and words both create improvements in this condition of I'm depressed? And then there's sort of like, let me just think about, you know, there are other things like, for example, we know that, you know, people with depression have low energy. So like they have trouble getting out of bed, which isn't quite a neurochemistry imbalance because we're not giving them like a stimulant, right? So we have some medications or things that we can do to the body, like pressors, which are things that raise your blood pressure. So it's something that you give people in heart failure and whatnot. Like there are things that we can do, like we can provide nutrition, we can provide stimulants, we can provide pressors, but none of those physical medications affect depression. So there's sort of like this energetic component. Then there's sort of like a, what is life? There's no point. Right? So you may say that this is psychological, and maybe it's psychological, but there's almost like a spiritual depression, which feels different from an emotion. It's like an existential kind of, it's like a cosmic, like, why am I here on this earth? Like, what is the purpose of this existence? I wake up every day, I go to work, I exercise, and I just rinse and repeat. There's no point. Okay? And then there's kind of like intellectual depression. Let me think about what's an example of a Vijnanamaya Kush. So this is where maybe what we have certain kinds of logic about self-esteem, ego, etc. So there are parts of our mind that are not just emotions, okay? So this is what the difference between the emotional and intellectual body is like we have things like a personality and ego, and an ego is not emotions. Like the two are fundamentally different. But the two can relate to each other, certainly, just like your ego can relate to your physical form or your energy level. But fundamentally, like the sense of self and identity are in this layer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So then let's think about like, what do we do? So improving, let's call it finding happiness, per se. This is your problem, right? So this is where like evaluation for clinical depression. So what I'm saying, Pierce, is that basically when I work with someone, and for people who really come out of this stuff in a very like positive and sustainable way, they actually work on all 5 of these because you don't know where the problem is coming from. Do you have sadness and regret about messing things up? We don't know. Do you actually have a neurochemistry imbalance in your brain where your serotonin level is low? Like, we don't know. Have you developed some kind of identity about being someone who screws things up? We don't know. And are you one of these like people who's on the path of Buddha, who's like supposed to discover the true meaning of life, and then you will become a cult leader in your own right? We don't know. So this is where like your road forward, I think, Pierce, is like actually all of these, right? So this is evaluation for clinical depression. We're going to teach you Om chanting today. And the cool thing is Om chanting kind of works on both of these levels. So this is where you have like an energy that could be sluggish or slow. This is called Chi in the sort of East Asian tradition, or called Prana in the sort of South Asian tradition, but it's this idea of like vital life energy. And there are some practices you can do to literally boost your vital life energy. What's really interesting is if you look at scientific studies, they find that exercise, which is a purely physical practice, tends to get outperformed when you add this energetic component to physical movements. So if you like, Tai Chi outperforms exercise when it comes to things like depression. And the difference between Tai Chi and exercise is that Tai Chi has an energetic component, whereas exercise does not. So emotional, get back into therapy. And then this is where like intellectual is like therapy or coaching. And this also is therapy or coaching. But I'd say if this is positive, then you should definitely do therapy. You can still do coaching. The two are complementary, but I definitely get treatment for depression if you sort of get diagnosed with depression. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so this is good. So you're reading about the Eightfold Path, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. So you're reading about Ashtanga. That's the Eightfold Path. Fantastic. So like you'll discover the meaning of life and whatnot. Does that help?
Yeah.
So in terms of
I've
your
actually already read the book. I'm just rereading it.
Good.
Better understanding.
Yeah, so great. So so since you've read the book and it hasn't transformed your life, there may be like a component of like intellectual understanding versus like really reflecting and discovering. So spiritual practice here can be worth a lot. But I think like, I think you should do all of these. Because this is really how you're going to put your life back on track. Like I'm very confident that if you do all of these things, you will find a road forward. Because I would say 95 to 99% of the people that I've worked with will be significantly better if they approach things on all angles. There are really only 2 people I can think about in my history of working with people, which is like years and years and years now, who have not gotten better with this approach. Jury's still out on what to do about them.
Do you still work with them?
No. I do not. One of them I still have somewhat of a relationship with, but the other person was sort of like, they didn't want to see me anymore. So I was like, okay, fine. Okay?
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Yep. Well said. Also, my condolences, bro.
Yeah.
All
It
right.
was tough.
Okay, so how do you feel you want to learn? So do you do a meditative practice? Because it sounds like you like read a lot about this stuff.
I have started implementing 10-minute meditations at the end of my Ring Fit adventure, which is part of my exercising. And I just do like sit and focus on my breath. But
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's not going to be good enough.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I've never been diagnosed for ADHD, but I find it very difficult to just concentrate on my breath. Like my mind will just wander all the time.
Sometimes I detest mindfulness. Okay, so a couple of things, all right? So the first thing is that, a lot of people, I see a lot of questions about, this kind of approach and stuff. So, hopefully we'll have something for you guys in a lot more detail about Panchakosha and how to kind of think through things soon. So we're working on some stuff there. So stay tuned for that. Secondly, I think that, mindfulness is just one sliver of a whole tradition of meditation. So like the tradition of meditation is like very, very long, and mindfulness is actually like a subset of the Zen tradition, which is a subset of the Buddhist tradition, which is a subset of essentially the Hindu tradition. I'm sure people will get upset by that, but this kind of goes to like, Judeo-Christian all has like Abrahamic roots. It's kind of like that, right? So Buddha's teachers were like, I guess traditionally what you would call Hinduism, but Hinduism is not really a thing. So if you want to, Pierce, I can teach you Om chanting, which I think is going to work more directly on your prana and maybe be a little bit suited towards you.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so sit up straight. I can't really see you here, so we're going to just,
Should I share my camera or?
Nope. I mean, you can if you want to, but. All right, can you hear me? I just turned on push to talk.
Yeah.
So chat, we're going to do Om chanting together. So Om chanting involves chanting 3 syllables. Ah. Ooh. Did you get that, Pierce?
Yes. Ooh.
Very good. So over the course of one breath, we're going to chant I'm going to demonstrate once, okay? So sit up straight, take a deep breath in, I'll demonstrate. Breathing out. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, are you on push to talk or are you on transmit?
I'm on transmit, but I can turn on push to talk.
It's not actually that critical, but if you're on transmit, Discord will cut you off just so people are aware, even if you're chanting, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 breaths. I'm going to start coughing. We're going to do 5 breaths together, so 5 rounds of chanting. After the 5th round, we're going to just sit in silence with our eyes closed, okay, for about 60 seconds.
Should my eyes be closed the whole time?
Absolutely, baby.
Okay.
All right. So, Everybody sit up straight. Close your eyes. We're going to take just one breath in and out. And now deep breath in and begin. Deep breath in. Focus on the vibration. Deep breath in. A lot of energy. And last one, make it count. Big deep breath. When you're ready, come on back. How do you feel, Pierce?
Calm.
Good. Were you not calm before?
Actually, I was kind of calm before.
Good. So what is the feeling that you have now? It's different from before, right?
Yeah.
So this is the problem, is that our language is so poor.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been great at describing my feelings.
Yep. Might want to try coaching for alexithymia, bro. So, this is where I think that what meditation does, sure, it calms us, but I think about calm as being something of the mind, whereas like what a lot of times what people are describing is like, I think the better word is peace.
Yeah.
Peaceful. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it.
Right? And so peacefulness is at the opposite end of dukkha, suffering. Because I think what happens,
Yeah.
Pierce, is that you carry around this like anguish with you. Like that's really what I'm feeling now. I didn't see it before. But it's like all throughout your day. It's not that you can't enjoy something. It's just you like lug around this anguish. And so like no wonder you can't enjoy anything.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned peace also, because that's how I described sort of the feeling that I had with the person from before. Was when I was with them, it wasn't really like an overwhelming happiness or excitement or anything. It was just like a deep sense of peace.
Yeah. So I think do these things, Pierce. I don't think your life has to be like this it's not, I don't think it's permanent. I feel very confident about that. Lugging around the anguish, which keeps you from peace. And when you're peaceful, then you can enjoy.
Right.
Right? I mean, you can eat the same food, and if your mind is stressed, there will be no enjoyment. It's the attitude, it's what you carry around on the inside that results in happiness or peace versus like emptiness and suffering. So move towards it, Pierce, one step at a time. And it's completely reasonable to start from a place where my life isn't worth living right now. Good. So make it worth living. Good luck to you, friend.
Thanks. I have one quick question. The book I'm reading talks about sort of the cessation of suffering comes from the cessation of desire, and I guess that's kind of sort of the problem I have, is that I don't have a lot of desire, but obviously I do have some sort of craving, or I wouldn't be in this state. So how do I sort of differentiate the two?
Okay. Good question. I'm going to give you a weird answer. So you're saying that you don't have a whole lot of desire, right?
Right.
Do you suffer?
Yeah.
Do you suffer without desire?
No.
But I thought you didn't have a whole lot of desire.
Yes. I think that I do have desires. I just maybe don't know what they are or understand them fully.
Why do you think you have desires?
Or cravings rather. Because
the book told you so?
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah,
who are you gonna trust? The book or you?
Yeah, I guess I should trust myself.
Absolutely. So the book isn't wrong, but like I want y'all to understand, like this is the problem with books. That they say something that you may not be ready for. Is desire the root of suffering? Absolutely. Actually, it's not desire, technically. It's the attachment to desire. Okay. But I just want you to think about, Pierce, what you're doing is you're taking your experience and you're invalidating it in favor of the theoretical thing that the book tells you to do. And no wonder you're stuck. Because instead of actually solving your problem, you're trying to transform your problem into the problem that the book teaches you how to fix. Whereas, that's not even your problem.
Right.
So, don't forget about the book. If your problem is that you have no desire and no zest for life, then start there.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that's a good answer. Thank you.
All right. Good luck, bro.
Thanks.
All right, chatars. I think we are going to watch something. Maybe I should hop into this again. Sorry. We're going to do... Oh, GG. Okay. I understand that there's something to watch. One moment, chatars. Okay. So, before we get to the react, and I want y'all to, if you guys want me to, rate a small streamer, start thinking about who that small streamer is now. So a couple things. I think these questions are wonderful. So I really enjoyed, what everyone is kind of talking about and calling in for. And like, case in point, like, I don't know how to say this, but so sometimes people have clinical issues, right? So especially peers like should certainly get evaluated. I think everyone should get evaluated. Just get it checked out. It's sort of like, you got a lump somewhere on your body. It's like someone's like, yeah, get it checked out. So I encourage you all to get it checked out. And at the same time, I think that like the profession of therapy is not trained in like helping people find happiness and fulfillment. It's not what it's trained for. And so if that's what you guys like, this is where like we have built this coaching program around the needs of this community. Like Pac said, he's like, most people are stuck. And it's about how do you get unstuck. So if you guys fall into one of these buckets of kind of like, living in Groundhog Day where every day is the same and you don't know how to get out of it. If you're someone who thinks a lot more than you do, and if you're someone who has trouble understanding like your emotions and like not knowing how you feel, like y'all should sign up for coaching. And continue, by all means, continue consuming our comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we're really here to help you guys because I just don't think that like, the profession that I was trained in like does good enough of a job at supporting this generation of people. So this is part of the other problem with like Healthy Gamer is like we're not really about gaming anymore. And we haven't been about gaming for a long time. And so I love the gaming analogies, right? Like there was that one dude who's talking about, Pax was talking about using the fighting analogies for falling into the trap. Dope. So I love using the language of Pepe and gaming and stuff like that. It's like the lexicon of our generation. But we're really here to help you guys understand yourselves. And like, we're really about mental health for like our generation, which starts with millennials and goes into the Zoomers and whatever comes next. So that's what we're here for. And I don't think you guys have to continue suffering the way that you do. Like, get some help. Like, that life is a multiplayer game. Okay? Love you guys. Let's watch some dank memes. Okay. So. I'm gonna... Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, chat. What is this? Okay, Dr. K gets into a heated argument. I'm going to toss out a word. Do you feel inadequate? Sure, of course. Everyone does. Yes, everyone. But I think for you, like, let's admit it, and I think your mind deviates away from this, right? It's not going to be logic that pokes a hole in this. Usually my experience with people who are super into logic is that if their logic is incorrect, they get really, really angry, and then they just can't see that their logic is wrong. It doesn't change. The two are completely unrelated. Like how the fuck? Just look at that. It's absurd. Think about it. Even now, the way that when you get mad at yourself, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sounds like you were just a loser. Huh? So, a loser and a failure. What do you mean by those words? There's something inherently wrong with you. Okay. Oh, I mean, you are not worth very much. Let me think about how to... No, don't speak. That's stupid. When you speak, bad things happen. Oh my God. Why is that bad? People are going to get frustrated if you do that. I can't believe I said this. Don't speak because you're dumb. What's wrong with that? Because that's dumb. You're dumb. Sit down and shut up. I'm going to have to sit with that for a second. Sit with it now. And also I'm going to grab a tissue. Is that okay? Sit. Let me think about my comeback. This actually looks like this is frighteningly like a real conversation. Did you want to say something else? It's all good, man. Okay. See, that was good. You sat with it. It's good. I mean, must have been. You were taught that being yourself is not okay. And I say that with love. Did you ever tell a YouTuber that you love them? Why? Where does that come from? I mean, I may think you're crazy, but I would love to hear. No, I'm not. No. I know this is going to sound super hokey. It doesn't need to make sense because ultimately all of this is experiential. Oh, no. Once you experience this, then you'll understand. Where is that coming from? Fucking tell me. No. I love you. What the fuck? Like, why is that happening? Like, no. I love you. No, like, why are you doing this to me, mind? I'm trying to explain to you, what love is, and like, you're not going to understand it until you experience. How the fuck do I get this to stop? What are you afraid of? What would happen if I did? And how did that make you feel? I don't know. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Like, it's like a process. It's like a relationship that develops over time. Sort of, yeah. Or arguably, you've already done it. You just don't realize it. We're getting there. Sure, we'll get there. Oh, man. Chat. First of all, that was hilarious. Also, I'm mortified. Because that was actually like a conversation. Like, oh my god. That may have been one of Tramrant's... I don't know if you guys know this, but this was Tramrant. This guy is a genius. Or girl. I don't know. But if you guys have not... Tramrant is... Man. Masterful. I can't watch myself on the internet. I can't watch it, but damn, Tramrant. Because I think he finds, like, it's not like, what really blows my mind is that it's not like 15 different conversations, right? He like splices together two, like just two. And it was nuts. So, wow, that was hilarious, dude. Oh my god. That's really the only thing that and the music, like the remixes. Okay, so Tramrant interview? If Tramrant, sure. Ramranch? Okay. He's in chat. GG. Thanks, Tramrant. You're a genius, friend. Honestly, we do it for the memes. I know we talk a big game about helping, people with their, like, yeah, like, we're gonna help you put together your life, man. And we want to, like, make you feel happy, and we're transforming people's lives. Yeah. But really, it's for the memes. The danker, the better. Okay. I see Shady Penguin. Oh, we did a good... Oh, Shady Penguin is offline. I can't tell. This... Someone is saying... Oh, a name, but that looks like not a real person. Okay. Dusk the Viking. Nice. Dude, I don't know what he's playing, but he does look like a Viking. So we're gonna raid Dusk the Viking. Okay? Let's blow up the channel. Dude, he looks like a Viking. Oh my god. And he's got some kind of... I don't know what that is. Maybe I should... Okay, send Dusk the Viking some love. Let's just blow up the channel. Blow it up, chat. Send him some love. We'll see y'all on Wednesday for a TBD stream. And then Friday for I forget what. And then we're out starting Monday for a couple of weeks. But we may still be streaming. It just may not be Dr. K. So we may give you guys sort of an inside look into other things going on at Healthy Gamer. GG, chat ours.